Hello, this is Own Soldier 86 coming right back at you with our discovery of the GoldenEye setup editor and how it works. And I want to take another video here to talk a little bit about how to navigate around the level so that we can see all the different objects in the level that we are currently working on. And as you can see right now, I'm navigating the camera, which allows me to freely look around the level. And the way I'm doing that is by, if you're loading the level up for the first time, you get the standard mouse, which you can see right here. And if I press the tab key on the keyboard, it will change into this target reticle that looks kind of like the target from GoldenEye 64. It's kind of convenient. And what we can do is we can freely look around the level using this setting. And by pressing tab key again, I can get out of that mode and use the mouse to freely click on any of these cubic objects, which we'll talk about here in just a second. And something else to mention too when we're in free look mode is that we can navigate the camera around in sort of a first-person fashion, first-person shooter. The keys A, S, D, and W will refer to the way that the camera will move around. So just like a first-person shooter, W moves the camera forward, S moves the camera backward, A will move the camera as a strafing motion to the left, and D will move the camera strafing motion to the right. So using those different keys, we can command the camera to move around in any sort of way that we wish. We can even go upside down if we want, which would be probably not necessary, but anyway, so it's kind of fun to be able to navigate. And in fact, it's kind of a neat way to if you're just doing this for fun, you can casually look behind the level to see kind of what's going on behind it. And as we saw before with our discussion about the geometry, you can see that these trees are in fact hollow, as as we saw in the Google SketchUp variant of this level as well. So now that we know how to navigate this camera, we should talk about the different objects that we see. These little cubic images here are representations of the objects. And since in the lower left-hand corner, we are in Edit Objects mode, this allows us to click on each of these different squares, and or I should say cubes. And each of these cubes represents something within the game. For instance, the red cubes represent item spots where items will spawn. And some of them are located right above the platforms, and some are located way above the level that you might not have seen because when playing in game, you get about this visual perspective right about here. But these items are actually spawning above the level. They kind of just drop out of nowhere. So that kind of is a neat little effect that that many Smash Brothers levels use. So we have to keep in mind that there's objects all around the stage. Sometimes they're not normally seen within the peripheral of the game. Now, moving on, we have these whitish looking cubes, and these are also very important, especially for the multiplayer component. These tell the program where to spawn the characters. So for instance, looking here, this particular cube will spawn player 1 in a versus match. So in other words, the player 1 will be the leftmost character on the character select screen. This will be a respawn point. Actually, that's not correct. The pink squares represent respawn points, but as you could see, I just moved that cube over, and now if I click again, we had a cube hiding within a cube. So this white one represents player 4, which is the rightmost character on the character select screen. There are a few other cubes that we need to account for here. As you can see, we can put cubes within cubes because obviously some spawn points will occur synonymously depending on what kind of mode we're playing in. And we have these blue ones, which are, if you can remember in the introduction cutscene, there's sort of a representation of each of the different characters in their own levels. And these two blue squares represent, cubes, semantics. These blue cubes refer to the spawn points of those particular characters in that cutscene alone. The green cubes represent areas where the player will spawn in a one-player match. And on this particular level, we will see places for our character to spawn along with allies, which are fighting the giant Donkey Kong, which is known as Computer 1. Again, is represented as solo mode. And then we have several of these pink squares, which again represent the spawn points, for instance, where you respawn after you've been KO'd. So we'll dig a little bit more into that in the next video.